Good morning. I welcome you all to today's lecture. Today I am going to explain about social welfare, in which I shall be talking about the definition of social welfare, the objectives of social welfare, and the scope of social welfare. So, dear friends, we live in a society where people are unequal. There is a gap between the rich and the poor. There is a gap between the have and the have nots. There are also people who are living in marginalized conditions. There are people who are living in vulnerable situations. There are various sections of the people who even do not have access to the basic necessities of life, the basic needs of life like shelter, clothes, education, health, they do not get. They are deprived of having access to such minimum necessities of life. So, social welfare as a measure of providing services to the people play a very pivotal role in ensuring a minimum standard of living to these marginalized and vulnerable sections of the society. So social welfare tries to provide different kinds of services to fulfill the needs of the weaker sections of the society. It tries to ensure the marginalized communities a minimum standard of living, a minimum health services, educational services, and other kinds of services which is required to have a satisfied living conditions. So let us try to understand some of the definitions given by social scientists. According to Elizabeth Wickenden, social welfare includes those laws, programs, benefits, and services which assure or strengthen provisions for meeting social needs recognized as the basis to the well-being of the population and the better functioning of social order. So social welfare can be in the form of enactment of laws, passing legislations, launching of different kinds of schemes and programs through which the people get benefits and services so that they can fulfill their needs and the social functioning of the people can be better and the social order of the society can be maintained. So social welfare does not only means providing various kinds of schemes and programs and providing various kinds of needs fulfillment programs. Rather, it can be also in the form of passing laws and legislations. Another definition is given by Professor Friedlander. According to this definition, social welfare is an organized system of services and institutions designed to aid individuals and groups to attain standards of life and health. So, social welfare services are provided in a very purposive manner, in a systematic and organized manner through which the people and the groups can attain a standard of life and health. So now let us try to understand some of the objectives of social welfare. Social welfare ensure adequate living standard for all. So this living standard, this is very necessary part of social welfare. It tries to ensure an adequate living standard for all the people who are living in the society. It tries to provide social justice to people. Social justice. There are people who are in very pathetic conditions and they are deprived of getting justice. And social welfare tries to provide social justice to the marginalized sections of the society. Social welfare tries to provide opportunities for cultural development. So, not necessarily living a life just by fulfilling the basic needs of life is sufficient. Rather, there should also be cultural development of the people. So, social welfare make provisions for the cultural development of the people. Social welfare tries to readjust human relations leading to social harmony. So maintenance of social harmony is crucial. The social harmony has to be maintained in the society for the better functioning of the society. Harmony must be maintained and social welfare tries to maintain this social harmony. It also talks about expansion of social services and their improvement. So this expansion of social services is one of the key objectives of social welfare. It tries to provide services in terms of health services, educational services, economic services, and other kinds of services. Social welfare tries to help individuals attain satisfying standards of life, health, and equal opportunities. So, this life, health, and equal opportunities are very much necessary on the part of every individual to lead a satisfying living. So, there should be a minimum standard of living conditions, there should be access to health services, and everybody must be given with equal opportunities as their counterparts enjoy. So, no one should be deprived of any kind of services. Social welfare also tries to strengthen individual capacities to cope with real life situations. You see, in our life, we face with various kinds of obstacles, various kinds of challenges, and social welfare tries to strengthen the capacities of the individuals so that they can cope better with the real life situations. Social welfare tries to create basic conditions that will enable all the members of the community to realize their potential for capacity, growth, and self fulfillment. So, social welfare tries to provide opportunities through which the full potential of the individuals can be expressed. There can be total growth and there has to be self-fulfillment. So social welfare tries to make such provisions and create such conditions that everyone should get an opportunity to develop his own capacity, to have growth and self-fulfillment. Social welfare has also one aim of bringing social reform in the society. The social welfare is not only about just providing services, rather, it also tries to bring change in the society in terms of social reform. Social welfare tries to provide social security and social assistance. So, social security is a broad concept, and I shall explain about social security in one of my other lectures. But as part of understanding social welfare also tries to provide social security and social assistance to the people. Now, if we look at the scope of social welfare, it's very, very vast. In our society, there are various kinds of people who are living, and there is enough opportunities, there is enough scope of social welfare. The social welfare scope can be discussed in the context of the marginalized and vulnerable sections of the society. So, educational services. Education is key to bring change in the society, and providing educational services is very, very necessary for the creation of a healthy society. So the people who are marginalized, the many children who are not able to get access to educational services, they should be provided with educational services. So there is enough scope of social welfare in the area of educational services. The next one is counseling services. People are having various kinds of psychosocial problems. The marginalized people, there are different sections of the society who do not have access to services, and counseling services should be provided to the people who are faced with psychosocial problems. And aged welfare services. In today's context, if we look at the situation of aged is very, very precarious. The aged are passing through a very difficult situations. Many of the aged are neglected and they are not taken care of properly in the family. So social welfare tries to provide services for the aged. And you see, today we find mushrooming growth of old age homes because of the changing situation, because of the impact of westernization also, and the aged have to be taken care of properly. Rehabilitative services. In the areas of rehabilitative services, the people who are affected by various kinds of natural calamities like flood, a drought, earthquake, etc. And at the same time, the people who are alternatively able, they also need to be rehabilitated. So rehabilitative services is also important in the context of social welfare. Housing services, yes, there are people who are homeless, and there are various sections of the society who do not have access to the basic needs also. And there are homeless people who are living on the street, who are sleeping in the platform, and they have to be provided with housing services. The next, vocational services. The capacity building and providing vocational services is essential to have a good livelihood opportunities. So it's important that vocational training should be provided to the youth, to the people who are jobless, so that they can be having a proper livelihood conditions in the society. Then child welfare services. Of course, the children are very much neglected in the society. There are street children, there are children who are living in the slum, there are children who are uh, working in different factories and companies in a very tender age. There are also children who are working in sex markets. So these children have to be rescued, and welfare services should be provided to such kinds of children. Women welfare services is another area. You see, there are also women who are widow. There are women who are neglected in the society. They are deprived of various kinds of opportunities, and sometimes they are subjugated. They are the victim of rape, sexual abuse, and there is torture. So these women have to be provided with various kinds of welfare services, and I truly appreciate the initiative of the government of launching of the one-stop center Saki, which tries to solve the problems of the women, and it tries to address the every kinds of problems of the women in one stop. So that is a very, very important kind of provisions that has been taken by the government to address the welfare of women. welfare services for people affected by HIV/AIDS. So the people who are affected by chronic diseases like HIV and AIDS, they should be provided with various kinds of services. These people are sometimes looked down upon. They are considered inferior, and sometimes they are also ostracized from the society. So it is very, very necessary to provide welfare services to the HIV affected people. Then displaced people, uh, due to the initiation of mega development projects, people are displaced, and when there is displacement, there is a total dislocation of the people. So the people who have been displaced due to various regions have to be taken care of. And in this context, I would refer to the theory given by Michael Senia, and that needs to be discussed in a separate lecture, how the problem of the displaced people can be addressed, and the building up social networking, from providing jobs, providing homes, and providing basic needs of life like health, education. These are very much necessary for the displaced people. Then the scheduled caste and scheduled tribe population are also considered to be one of the vulnerable sections of the society, and it is a high time that necessary welfare services should be provided to the scheduled caste and scheduled tribe population. Welfare services for widows. Yes, when someone becomes widow, she has to pass through various difficult circumstances, and she needs to be provided with welfare services. So it's very important that widows should also be provided with welfare services. And the people who are alternatively abled, the so-called disabled persons, they should be provided with basic services which are necessary for their capacity building, for their self-expression. So we cannot say that they cannot do anything. There are people who are excelling well in their field in spite of their barriers. So it's important that welfare services should be provided to the alternatively abled persons.